Dear Journal, life has not been the same for me since I came home from the war. I was deployed 6 months after enlisting, which was so unexpected. To be honest, I was just trying to stay out of trouble. Most of my friends from high school were either doing time in and out of jail, rehab, or already 6 feet deep. I didn't want to become another statistic. I figured by joining the Army, I could get my education paid for, serve my country, make my mom proud, and most importantly, stay out of jail and avoid the grave too soon. Even though I knew in the long run my mom would be proud of the man I would become, I have to say her first response to the news of me joining the Army was more than troubled. She imagined the worst case scenarios. War and death was the first to come to mind. She wasn't against the benefits and the life it would afford me in the long run. This was my opportunity to get a better start in life, a more disciplined and structured life, void of distractions, bad choices, and terrible influences around every corner. College was not possible without it. We didn't have the money, and financial aid would only pay for so much. The Army would ensure me the education I needed to take care of my mom and any future family I may have. I wrote to her as often as I could, and things were going great for me. I completed basic training with no problems. I learned how to be a soldier, how to march, discharge a gun, stay fit, and survive with little sleep. After basic training, I went on to AIT, and my military career was advancing and going as planned. One day, late summer, I was scheduled to go on a convoy with a group of my fellow soldiers where we traveled base to base. Leaving one base and heading to another, we were ambushed by the enemy, and my worst nightmare became reality. We were besieged with RPGs, and my life flashed before my eyes. I saw David's right arm get blown clean off, and I watched Jason take his last breath. Everything happened so fast. I didn't have time to react or feel or just be in the moment. No amount of basic training could have prepared me for any of this. I'm not sure if all the adrenaline I was feeling kept me from noticing the blood gushing from my own head. There was pushing, pulling, yelling, so much going on, and then in an instant, everything went quiet. It was dark and so quiet that I could only hear my thoughts. There were memories of my mother begging me not to join the Army. Was this all a mistake? My pops passed away when I was 15. I was her only child, all she had left. Remembering was all I had in that moment, not sure of what was happening around me. At this point, I'm pretty sure I've passed out, guessing the attack was over and perhaps the injured were being taken to the infirmary. I thought of how I felt watching Jason slip away from this life. I imagined his mother getting the news and how distraught she would be. I remember slipping in and out of conscience. I remember being in the infirmary, hearing bits and pieces of nearby conversations. 2 medevac helicopters responded to the area, and I was one out of 3 guys who were transported to the nearest trauma hospital. I don't remember much after I arrived at the hospital. Things around me were hazy, and voices became more and more garbled with time. I wondered if my mom had been contacted, and exactly what my injuries were. I couldn't speak, I couldn't move, and panic started to creep in. I started to lose time. The nights would come so fast, and then the daylight would disappear even faster. I wasn't sure how long I had been in the hospital. The days all rolled into one, and then suddenly, seemingly out of nowhere, I was fully dressed and standing outside of my mother's home. I had no memory of being discharged from the hospital or medically discharged from the Army. Maybe my memory's just foggy from all the medication I must have been given. None of it made sense, but I was so happy to be home. Always, Noah.